Hey everyone, Kathy the Vegan Prepper here, and I am bringing you a Kathy Chat tidbit today. Hopefully you enjoy it. Do-do-do, do-do-do, vegan prepper. Do-do-do, do-do-do, vegan prepper. Okay, today I want to talk a little bit about emotional strength and mental fortitude in light of a lot of the stuff that's been going down and potentially can still go down. So a lot of the mainstream prepping channels are doing a lot of doom and gloom. Lots of channels are putting out videos right now that say it's not going to get better and all of this stuff. And I'm not meaning to be critical of that. I think that for certain people, like the more mainstream channels, like channels I have mentioned before, their hearts are in a good place. They're trying to get people to want to prep using tactics that they believe are necessary to inspire a person to make a change. And then I just, I've never really worked like that. Like fear tactics and things like that have never really worked on me. So if anything, I feel maybe for the first time, like I do have a valid voice in this community because my voice is a little different. I would rather inspire people by just inspiring them and bringing them hope and bringing them the idea that their actions and their will can make a difference in their lives, to bring really more of a message of hope. And that's kind of what I want to do and what I want to be, because I think there are definitely certain people for whom kind of more fear-based tactics will work, but there are other people who would become paralyzed by that, who would feel hopeless now, like, well, what's the point then? And then they don't take any action. And so I want to speak maybe to those people, but anyone really, but those are the people that I have in mind when I continue to force myself to keep my content more positive. So if anybody ever wonders, this is a conscious choice. It's not because I'm hiding my head in the sand or I'm too weak to talk about realities of what's going on. It's because I have lived my entire life not paying attention to realities, understanding that my will, my desire, my drive is more important than anything going on around me. And that's the message I want to give. So I have definitely alluded in the past to the fact that I did not have a good upbringing. Essentially, my entire life started off as an SHTF situation. I had an extremely violent and abusive alcoholic father, which is not necessarily an atypical story, unfortunately. But yes, everyone's experience of abuse is different. And so, yeah, I went through quite a lot as a child. A lot of things that mainly that I was witnessing, but also for myself as well. I had very many times in my childhood when I was terrified of death, like actually genuinely terrified that I was going to die. Many times in my childhood. We're talking from the age of 3, 4, 5, 6, like these, I was experiencing this reality and these feelings then. Thankfully, I've gone through a lot of counseling and I've gotten help. I definitely don't mean to imply that, like, for extreme trauma that you just like pick yourself up by your bootstraps and keep going. I think there is a bit of that where at a certain point, maybe after you've done a lot of the work, and this is kind of what I realized too, it's like, I gotta just like be okay now. Like now it's time to be okay and to stop dealing with all of this stuff. But that was after I had already done a lot of work. So, yeah, it's like at a certain point, you just have to make a decision that you're not going to obsess or think about this stuff anymore. And so when it comes to prepping and thinking about future disasters and issues and problems, I think a lot of my past experience colors my viewpoint of things like this in the future. Because honestly, things will have to be pretty darn bad before they ever get close to how bad my life even started, right? And like even just situationally, not even, even outside of just like abuse, there was extreme poverty. And even like Mr. Vegan Prepper and I, through our marriage, at times we have faced some pretty extreme poverty situations and, getting food from food banks in order to keep food on the table. I ended up really sick because of food that we got from food banks and things. We have gone through some stuff. I was over a year and a half. I had H. pylori infection that wasn't diagnosed, and I could barely move. I couldn't drive myself anywhere. Like, you know, we have been through, and that's only just a couple things. Like, we've been through quite a few things. Right now we're in a very good place, and I'm super grateful and feeling very blessed. But through it all, focusing on what can I do? I've said this many times on the channel that one of the other reasons that I don't get caught up in all of the stuff that could happen is I'm not asking about all of that. Like, to me, again, like I talked about how to focus your preps, especially on a budget, that you focus on the basics. And this is, I always come back to it, to focus on storing up large amounts of food, large amounts of water, the ability to cook that food without power, and purify that water too, by the way, of course. And then covering your basic sanitation, things like a bucket toilet seat with enough wood chips or sawdust in order to, you know, safely compost human waste, being more zero waste in the first place so that you're not making quite as much trash. You're going through kind of a lot of stuff. So that video ended up being 45 minutes long. So go watch that video because I covered a ton of stuff in that video. If you want to, you know, figure out how to focus even with all the shenanigans going on. Ultimately for me too, it's sort of, there's a resignation inside of me in facing what could potentially come in the future, where I don't necessarily believe that I'm fully prepared for every single eventuality. I am still watching and learning certain channels to really get information, to know, for instance, to point out potential holes in my preps. And then I fill those holes and then I move on with my life. It's not something that I obsess over. But for me, it's just sort of, there's an inner conviction that no matter what happens, and I guess it does come a bit from past life experience, in this current life. I'm not talking about like past life experience. I'm talking about like this life right now. I don't even believe in reincarnation. Do you know what I'm saying? And life experience in my current past. I just sort of have resiliency. Like it's like whatever comes up, you know, we'll face it. I'm going to rise to meet that challenge. I'm not going to lay down. I'm not going to roll over and play dead. I'm not going to, well, unless it's a good survival tactic in the moment, but I'm not going to like let this thing be the thing that beats me, or let this thing be the thing that breaks me, or let this thing be the thing that changes my inner convictions over what life is supposed to be like, what I am supposed to be like as a human being, how I am supposed to continue contributing to society and being a decent person, being a pocket of peace in a world that's going to crap. You know, I want to be that person. I want to be that oasis. I want to be that beacon on that hill. I want to be, you know, that voice that says, we can do this. We can get through this. People have faced far worse than anything that we have coming at us right now. People have already faced far worse than that. And some of them, sure, did not make it, but many of them made it. And how do we know? It's because we're here, right? Every single one of us has incredible survival stories in our background. Even if you don't know specific amazing stories in your own personal history, they do exist because you exist. So there's amazing survival in your background. There's a strength that can come up inside of you in the moment that you need it to face what you need to face, and do it with grace and resiliency and strength. I think that everybody has it inside of them, and that's what I want to say. I don't necessarily, like I said, I have my video all about what I think people should prepare and focus on preparing. But when it comes right down to it, I think what most people need is a belief that they can do it. It's a belief that they are strong enough to face whatever is coming at them. Definitely not saying that at some points you don't break down and cry, or there aren't difficulties that make you feel like you're not going to make it, make you feel like you're not going to get through. But that can't be how you feel like if you get caught at a red light. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it can't be how you feel if the bottom falls out of your grocery bag and your groceries spill on the ground. It can't be how you feel if you drop a dish and it breaks, even if it's a dish that's precious, it belonged to your grandma, you know, whatever. When things happen in life, I believe that a lot of like people, And maybe I want to be very careful. I'm not judging at all. So if I come across and you think that I've cast judgment on you, or I'm disparaging a group of people or whatever, that is not true. But like, it seems like there's a lot of people who haven't had the opportunity in their lives to develop resiliency because they haven't been through things yet. Or maybe they have been through some things, but not through like some crazy things. But that doesn't mean that that's not a skill that you can develop even without having had that in your life. I don't credit the things that I have been through with who I am today and the strength and the resiliency that I believe I now possess. I don't credit any of that stuff. Even though I went through it, the thing is, that is just the reason that I did the work. It was the reason that I focused. It was my reason to overcome and to achieve. I had to, because of what I went through. It doesn't mean that, you know, like I fell down into a pit, and so I climbed Everest just to get out of a pit and to put myself on a normal level with other people. That's what I've been through. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm here, but I've come from all the way down here. I did work to get to where I am. I've developed strength, maybe that other people haven't developed because of what I've went through, but that doesn't mean that somebody who starts here and then decides to climb Everest is not going to also develop the same things. Does that make sense? I don't credit the bad stuff. The only thing it did was give me the reason to do the work. Anybody can do the work. The work is what has made me strong, not what I went through. Does that make sense? I hope that really makes a lot of sense, because I think sometimes people, and they feel shy to admit it. Although I've heard one comedian address it where it's like they feel like, gosh, I wish I went through crap like that. It's like, I'm so lame. Nothing's, you know what I mean? It's like, no, you don't wish you've gone through crap like that. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to go through crap like that to develop that strength. Because that's my personal opinion, is that the devastation is not the thing that we thank. We thank the work that got us out of that. So all of us can do the work wherever you start. And if you get to start here and then climb Everest and soar, I'm happy for that. That's where I hope my children will be, right? They're another huge motivation to me, that I'm not going to put my issues on them. I'm not going to put my problems on them. They are not my therapists. They are not there to hold me up. They are there for me to push to higher levels than I got to go to. There's an old saying that's very trite, but that I believe with all of my heart, that if you didn't come from a good family, you make sure a good family comes from you. I'm very, very, very focused on that. Yeah, so anyway, I think that I have kind of gone into tangent zone, but all of us are capable of doing the work, and, you know, bad stuff happens, but it's the will that I exert over my life and the determination that I possess, which is perhaps maybe more honed and more determined because of some of the things that I have seen and I have been through. But everybody can find their reason why. So no matter what we go through, we just know we're going to rise to face that challenge, come up with creative solutions. But even still, it's good to be prepared. So if you haven't yet and you're interested in learning how to start, go watch my video. I will link it down below on how to focus your preps. Like I said, it is very long, but it has a lot of really good content, I think. And there are also a lot of channels out there that are far more knowledgeable than I am, but definitely know that this channel is going to be a space where we discuss good things, where we are bolstering you, lifting you up, not trying to like scare you into taking action. I don't, personally, that doesn't work on me, maybe partly because of my background, because of all of the violence and the like, it doesn't work on me. Like, it's like the second somebody tries to emotionally manipulate me, I sense it and I shut down and I'm like, what are you trying to get me to do? You know, like I back off and I'm like, you will not take my will from me. I have choices. I will be the author of my own life. So anyway, yeah, that's what I do. But that's why I'm like so happy all the time too, because this is also a conscious choice. This persona, this view of the world is a conscious choice. Like I spent too much time in the true depths of awfulness and horror that now it's like every little flower I see blooming, I'm just like, oh, it's the most beautiful flower ever. Like, I am going to take every bit of time that I can to focus on what's good and what's beautiful in the world, and cultivate gratitude and cultivate feelings of well-being and, you know, excitement and joy in my life. I will sit in it. I will snuggle into it, and I will experience every bit of that I can. Because yeah, that's a conscious choice, and I will be happy. And I've said before that sometimes the edges of my smile are like 2 middle fingers going up to whatever's going on in my life. It's like, you don't get to take my smile. Sorry. Anyway, okay, that's it. So hopefully you enjoyed this little tidbit. It still is a little longer than I wanted it to be. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think. If you have any other things you'd like for me to talk about or cover. But yeah, like, regardless, we've got to get it set inside of ourselves that no matter what happens, we will rise to meet that challenge. Find solutions, be solutions oriented, and always moving forward. That's what the tattoos mean. Always moving forward. That way, because it points forward when my arm is out. You can't see. Points forward. And then the compass is because, well, you know, you guys know that I'm a Christian. I love God, and I believe that I'm always moving forward, and I'm never without direction. And that's what the compass means. And Adam has a coordinating tattoo, because for him it's the same thing. Always moving forward, never without direction. We'll get there when we get there. All right. See y'all later. As always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. See you later. Bye.